talking about white racists for a change. White racism. I always, the reality is when they're always lying about who's racist, that stops people from being able to call out real racism. Because I'm so busy defending the lies. Then it sounds like I'm always I'm having to say, when they always lie about white people being racist, I'm having to show, for one, that there's way more black racism than there is white racism. I've had to do that a lot. But on the other hand, a lot of the culture in white America and the church culture and stuff, some of the racism is hidden. All right. So I don't want to say it's hidden to the degree of where they can lie like about Donald Trump and say he's racist, and they've made him out to be racist because he's got hidden racism somewhere. I don't know. It's not hidden like that, but it's hidden in the fact that a lot of religious people are very clean and pristine, enjoying the success of false religion, of hypocritical religion, and making everything look clean and perfect and all this kind of stuff on the physical side, and they're storing their treasure in heaven, on earth instead of in heaven a lot of times. So it varies. There's real, I think it's called wickedness in high places when it comes. So there's a lot of religious white people, and there's some hidden racism behind all that sometimes, behind not, it doesn't start with racism, but behind just being hypocritical or delusional and thinking they're Christian and they're not. Phariseeism, when they're always worried about earthly things and they're not walking in the Spirit. They don't actually possess the Spirit. So there can be hidden racism there. I'm not pointing to that directly as being where it's real big, but anybody who doesn't really believe in God and doesn't have the Spirit of God, they can read a book, say they could read the Bible academically and go take a test and beat some people who really know the Bible on just little small stuff, little dates and time frame lines and all that. But they might ignore the fact that we all came from one human race, from Noah's family after the flood, which is obvious. Some people can do that and think that's no big deal. All right. So they just don't speak much against racism. So now most people, so the fact is, I just want to mention that I hardly ever call out, I'm doing this video because I hardly ever call out white racism, because you don't see a lot of it, but I have run into some people, and I've run into people who, like, I'm single. I've been single a lot through life. I was married real short period of time. And for one, I was had some addiction issues, which made the marriage last 2 weeks. I'm not laughing at that, but no, I mean, it was a short marriage. So my point is, though, I've been single most of my life. So, and not somebody who necessarily wanted to be single, but I wasn't a very responsible person, you could say. So, here's the point, though, is that I've been around the block. I've run into people here all the time. You run into people and people want to know you. They usually want my money. All the circles I've been in, and it's white guys, they're wanting to bum a cigarette off me or whatever it is. So I've run into all kinds, and I'll run into guy, but we, just like a regular guy, I'll be like, geez, in some circles. Nowadays, it doesn't seem to be like that much. But, we'd check out a lady. I'd say, you know anything about this girl? Is she pretty nice? This and what? And does she look nice? And then if you talk across ethnic lines, which I don't mind I don't care if she's black, white, Asian. I do care if she's Christian. So, but I've run into some guys that are like, you'll talk to black women? I'm like, yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that? And I've run into that. And they don't seem to be even the worst type racist, but they're like, I just don't think black women are pretty. I'm like, I could say, well, what about you, man? And these same people, though, they're picky about, the ones that are picky about ethnicity, a lot of times are picky about, weight. Sometimes they can't date a heavy-set lady who's, or somebody who's too skinny. They're real picky like that. To me, I'm not that picky myself. I've never been that picky. If she looks pretty to me, she's pretty. I don't care, But it's mostly it's a connection where I see something that used to be that I like similar to me. I'll say this: I used to sing, and I used to think I wanted to date somebody who sings, and now I'm looking in the hindsight, and I'm thinking, I don't think I would have ever. That would have been a mistake because I like singing solo, and I wouldn't have wanted to have to practice all the time just to make a song pretty because I'm busy enough trying to teach stuff like this. Which, by the way, that's the thing I wanted to point out in my teachings. I like to teach, obviously. So when I'm saying I'm doing politics and all this kind of stuff and philosophy and calling out lies all the time, basically I like to teach, and they don't want us to teach when they're silencing speech. So I'm a person who's noticed a lot of things in life because I'm not prejudiced. I haven't been prejudiced since I was young. I mean, I've got my problems and all that, just like anybody else. And some of them I got probably mine are a different set of problems than the average person, I guess. And I battled. I tried my best to work on them. Okay, I work on all my problems, and I failed at beating them a lot of times. But one thing I just haven't had since I was young is I just viewed everybody as people since I was saved. Since the time I was saved, I viewed, and that was at a young age. So, and because I've had a rough life, some people would say he wasn't saved. Well, actually, part of the reason I've had a rough life is because I've lived outside of the box because I'm saved. Because I believe in heaven and hell. So, and I believe all people were people. That salvation did that to me. It didn't. I was young, I didn't have any drinking issues or anything like that yet. And so most of the stories you hear are about that kind of stuff. So I'm still talking about white racism, but I'm giving you some background on my views and how I see stuff. And what I've run into. And I just mentioned one thing, and probably one of the more common things is I only date white women, or I only date sometimes Asian women, they'll say, but I don't date black women. Well, why not? Well, I can see in hindsight the reason not to date a white man shouldn't date black women, if you want to say that. I'm not going to say they shouldn't, but in a lot of cases is because the black women in America that I've seen, their family's racist or they're racist and they don't like you and they're gonna cause you a lot of grief, possibly a lot of cases. So that's really more common. That is truly common. And sometimes that happens the other way. There's white people who are gonna, snub you or this or that. But usually, even across racial lines, if you get involved in a relationship, there's a conscience that they have to try to accept you, and a lot of times people get along, and if once they see you, even the racists, once the white and black racists, once you're part of the family, they see you as either, if you're white, they see you as black. He's black though, or if you're white, they say, well, he's white. They'll say it like that because he's respectful. All they care about in the end, and even if they're racist in general against the opposite, different ethnicity, they'll, or not opposite ethnicities, by the way. We're the same human race, so it's ethnicity is not opposite. It's just a different language, basically. That's how it came about. So but if respect is shown and people get along and there's no trouble, most of the time people will look over it and they'll accept you as if you're the same ethnicity. So you've married into it, right? But in general, white racism gets overlooked, and this is probably the points to look at. And the real white racism, they always falsify white racism, right? So it's not always racism when somebody has a preference for who they like to date. By the way, it's not necessarily. Some people. People have different tastes. Now, some people, there's something spiritual about them that makes them too picky, I think, sometimes. About, ooh, this is gross or sex is gross. Well, yeah, in a sense, it is gross, right? Kissing and trading spit, if you look at it that way, it's gross. But there's a chemistry that God put there that with hormones and all that stuff. And then when two people mate, they build an immunity to each other's antibodies or bacteria. Natural bacteria. And so it's why monogamous works. I mean, it works and I don't like eating after people, but I've been in relationships. It doesn't bother people to kiss when they're in a relationship. They're not thinking about that so much. Now they want you to be clean and stuff, but have good hygiene. However, so in a sense you could say, but they act, to me it turns me off when people act like something's gross that's not gross. I'm not interested in a person like that. That's always going to pick on common humanity and make the person with the best hygiene even feel uncomfortable. To me that's a turnoff. But there's people like that, right? But so there is a sense though that sometimes somebody looks at there are certain things, I'll say, just for anybody. If somebody thinks something's sharp in how somebody dresses or this or that, then they see somebody else. They see somebody who doesn't dress in a way that they think is up to par. That can turn them off. I mean, and that's so. If somebody's a little overweight, that could, when I say turn them off, that's unattractive to them. It doesn't appeal to them. It's something they wouldn't want to date. So people have preferences and they build up tastes and all that. But when it comes to, I don't see how you can do it with ethnicity, because if you like petite women, there's petite black women, there's petite white women, there's petite Asian women, there's petite from that standpoint. But generally, it is good to be healthy, I'll say that. So there's something attractive about somebody who's not too overweight, but some people look okay with weight on them and all that. It's not all about looks. So let's say, but if you connect on a spiritual level, none of that matters except you want to take care of your body, because the Bible says to take care of your body. And so, but I'll just say this. I mean, I've been attracted to different people in my search over the years for a mate, right? And it wasn't always a petite woman. It wasn't always a heavy woman, but it didn't matter. If I thought we had something in common that I thought might connect spiritually, or in how they carry themselves, that they're conscientious of a lot of certain things and all that. To me, I found an attraction starting here. See, and everybody has a smile or something you like about them, right? So I'm just not into seeing people as ugly. Some people do that, by the way. But as far as but yeah, there's a lot of, I don't like to say beautiful black women or beautiful white women, because what is that saying about some of the other ones? That's not my taste, maybe. But there's a lot of beautiful women in the world, and obviously beauty matters, which I thought about doing a video. Beauty matters because, let's see, a woman, I mean, it has an effect. I'm not saying it matters from a spiritual standpoint necessarily, but it has an effect, because when you see videos, I'm a guy who wants a better world. All my videos are about how to fix our problems and create solutions. All my writings and everything, it's about how to make a better world and make us more peaceful and help us get along and be happier. How many likes and stuff do I get? Hardly any. But a woman can go on and say nothing, keep you out of her personal business and everything out. They don't know their beliefs. They can sit there and just blink their eyes. They can go on camera, blink their eyes, and they got 1 million views, 1 million likes. And it's not just one woman, it's almost every one of them. So now on the other hand, people have been taught to hate me for standing up against racism, because especially since I stand up against black racism too. And that's the thing. And the reason I have to do that is because nobody else does it, right? And then they've used lying about white racism to grow black racism. And so who does that though? White racists are helping that. So, by the way, where your most obvious white race, it's not so obvious, because a lot of times it's not about race, it's about money. It's about promoting racism. And the white people who promote racism in the black community are doing it to tear down capitalism. They promote stealing. They say, well, you got a lot of black folks who steal and go to loot. But you also see, recently in California, you've seen white people, and that's like Antifa types. And a lot of those are from Europe, which is another point. Democrats have been letting, we don't have many racists in America. We didn't, white racists. But they've been letting white racists in from Europe through the illegal border immigration. Now, I don't know how, the funny thing is, Asians have been left out of this debate and stuff, but I've seen some Asian women, if they think you're Republican, they've been taught, the whole world's been taught that the Republicans are racist. And they believe, they know the Trayvon Martin story, and they think that America represents shooting people like Trayvon. And the truth about the Trayvon Martin story is Trayvon Martin started the fight. He got in Zimmerman's face, and he was beating up Zimmerman. And that's when he got shot. And Zimmerman was on the ground getting his head pounded. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that stuff. And you know why? You weren't allowed to bring out the truth, because you had racist black groups, and really who were doing what they're doing to Israel now. You got the look, where's Black Lives Matter? They're playing victim, Palestinian victim, and acting like Israel attacked Palestine. It's the other way around. See? So it's obviously the other way around if anybody's paid attention. Palestine attacked people at a party in Israel and kidnapped people, chopped off babies' heads, and Israel fought back. And Black Lives Matter people are teaching the same principle they taught here, where you have somebody jump the police and then pretend like they're the victim. I mean, that's a bunch of bull. So who supports that, though? Why can't people see that Michael Brown in Hands Up, Don't Shoot? Now, don't forget, I'm bringing these points up because it's white racists that support these lies. They want to segregate it. But mostly it's not about racism even for some people. For some people it is about racism. They love seeing black racists hate on white people who befriend black people as if we're both brothers and sisters, human beings. And so they call the white people who view black people as brothers and sisters, human beings from Adam and Eve. They call them the racists. So white people are using black racists to call the white people who are not racist in order to pacify their racism and to keep us segregated, to keep the good people segregated and promote stuff like gangs and cartels, drug cartels and everything else. But the drug cartel is a tricky thing. It is. But there are only medicine doctors. We don't really have medicine doctors in the world now. And so, anyway, I make a point real quick while I'm on that, is that our scientists who are regulated should be able to study and have access to the plants that are used to put street drugs out there, like the coca leaf plant, and they should make better medicines. Now, that part I know for a fact, without a question. That should be in the hands of regulated scientists and competing with good scientists. You're going to have a mix of good and bad scientists there. And so this part about how we legalize it for the consumer, I can't say I'm totally confirmed on that, but I know for a fact it should be in the hands of doctors. And so it's a trick. It's been a trick that's played, and I think I'm pretty confident about consumers being able to use certain things if they were made safely, right? And at least in surgery and stuff like that, or for depression. All right, so but that all plays into racism because they've segregated us and dumped that on black neighborhoods. Who's doing that? The white Democrats do that, right? I don't know which ones exactly are into that, because that's a subject nobody talks about. It doesn't exist. If you think there's drugs in black neighborhoods, you're a racist, and that's a lie, because somebody like me that wants to talk about the drug issue in black or white neighborhoods, or Asian or Hispanic, I'm there. My view is it's not fair if they're getting overcharged. It's not fair if they're getting poisoned. It's not fair if they got and that they can't go get it from a doctor or somebody who's not going to kill them for their money. It's not fair that they're being rushed into that and that they're enslaved to that. That's not fair. So a lot of people, they look at me like there's something wrong with me talking about the drugs and all that. and pointing to the fact that there is drugs in black neighborhoods. All right, but I'm not after the dealers. I'm after changing the system. See, I am after dealers the people who are known to hurt people. I am after that. Black, white, or Asian, Hispanic, Indian, anywhere. Stop killing people. Stop killing people on the way to the ATM machine because they didn't pay you fast enough. Stop forcing people to an ATM machine. Stop, stop stealing. I'm for opposing stealing in black neighborhoods. I'm against looting. I'm against Antifa looting. I'm against the European white people who come here to loot and team up with Antifa and other looters and all that. So the reason they promote that, a lot of white people in the Democrat Party, they promote racism on purpose, not because they're just racist, but because they want you stealing from stores to tear down the capitalism system. They want to qualify that. But stealing from anywhere is no good, whether it's business or individuals. So they've taught our black gangs, basically in society, that it's okay to steal from businesses. That's popular amongst black gangs, and it's grown in a lot of white culture, I guess. I've seen it, man. It's like I've run into that recently where there's a lot of I've run into a lot of white people who are just as gangster as a lot of the black gangs that are proud of killing people, proud of it. And so I don't know, Michelle Obama acted like, why are people scared of black gangsters? She doesn't, I guess she's never been around and known that they're proud. They're proud about hurting people, proud that they're the bully. Nobody's going to mess with them. They're the bully. Now, some of them, I'm not going to say it's the majority, because they do end up respecting people who respect them, show them some respect and all that. A lot of them do, maybe most. But then you still got the ones who are promoting Antifa and promoting looting. They don't care about anybody. You don't do what they want. They're the ones that have turned it into a slave system. All the gangs, they've turned it into a slave system. Black Lives Matter has turned it into a slave system because they won't let you tell both sides of the story and they won't let you admit that this thief, somebody who's known for thieving and hurting people, being a bully in the neighborhood, fought with the police. And so, but that's people who don't want to see those points. That's their fault. But white people, the real white racists, support that. They support that. They don't want you to have a fair court case, right? They purposely supported a racist lawyer or a money-hungry lawyer in most all these cases that go to court with the police, where the police accidentally killed somebody. I say accidentally, because they're fighting back, So it's self-defense usually. But manslaughter and the Zimmerman case, the Trayvon Zimmerman case, they purposely overcharged. Like in the Trayvon Zimmerman case, they knew they couldn't get an indictment on Zimmerman, a real indictment, when they called it first-degree murder, because it was self-defense, not first-degree murder. So they would have had to call it involuntary manslaughter, or what's the other name? I forgot. But or second-degree murder or something. But it wasn't murder, it was self-defense. And that's the truth of the case. And so when they purposely overcharged it as a first degree, they knew he couldn't get charged. They knew it. There was too much evidence to show that he was being beat up and that he was on his back on the sidewalk. They had even a witness. All the evidence showed that was the case. And so they even had telephone witness with the girlfriend about some of the parts there that they didn't want to ever reveal. Nobody knows to this day what was said on that phone all the way. See? And they hid all that because you cannot, they kept saying, you can't take any evidence against a dead person. All right, well, what if the dead person started the fight and there's all that evidence there? You can't show it. They're dead. They're not here to defend themselves. That's what they did in that case. And they call you racist if you looked at the evidence, and that worked. They call us racist. Then, on top of that, they say, we can falsely call you racist and then kill you. And so you got all these people to this day who will kill you for talking about the true evidence of that case. And so you got Indians from India, Eastern Indians, not Western India. I've seen in videos recently who hate America because of the Trayvon Martin case. They think that's what we're all about. And the Trayvon Martin case was a huge lie. I mean, as far as acting like that what people think is he chased him down and shot him. That didn't happen. I'll just say Trayvon hid in the bushes, jumped out on Zimmerman. And so it is true that he probably didn't rob a store or anything, but he looked, so then they'll throw this in there. He shouldn't have been following him. Ow. I got a bone spur on my hand. That's weird. That's kind of, where did that come from? Anyway, I've got to figure that out later. Hopefully it's just a weird, that's different. But, okay, it went away. But that was weird, man. Must be my new cholesterol medicine. Okay, so we'll just say the story's not true. It is very so on the other hand, it's, they want to call you racist for bringing all that up. It was an unfortunate case, but the truth is, you got to teach people not to fight. Zimmerman would not have fought him. That's my view. Zimmerman would not have fought that guy. He would have talked to him. He would have questioned him. The guy didn't want to be questioned, and he started a fight. He fought. That's the real story of the case. Despite the fact you want to turn, and when that truth comes up, then they twist it and say it's his fault for chasing him. That's what you get if you chase somebody. They're expected to fight you if you follow them, And anyway, that's they're denying. That's every time you bring that up, that if you were to ever bring up that he shouldn't have started a fight, that goes on. So is that black racism, or so a lot of times I call that black racism, but that's also a Marxist group. That's somebody who hates capitalism and just doesn't want America to be free. So that's the same people who sold slaves to America that's running the Black Lives Matter. That's the same. The Democrat Party is the racist party. So we'll just come down to that. And so really I had to show most of the racism we see today is obvious. I listed it. It comes from you see it from the black side, not of America, and it's the Democrat black side. And but it's really backed up by white racists. So the people where most of your outspoken white racists are those people. So when I started off the video, I said, yeah, there is some hidden racism. It's not as big, and they're not blatant racists, and sometimes they don't know psychologically that what they've done is really worship the drug laws. And so when you have the hidden racism in white communities, and in the Republican side, it's hidden. It's because they don't even know they're racist, right? Because they're not, in a sense, they're not racist. But it's the people who hate on drug addicts and the drug laws, and they do view black neighborhoods and the black community as being infested with drugs. And so that's considered racist. But if you think about it, every city people go to, stay out of the hood, stay out of that ghetto, stay out of there. It's all nothing but drugs in there. And everybody agrees to that and knows it. And but who designed that? White Democrats and Islamic blacks who were in the slave trade together, right? And so they were against America. You got to remember there's two sides to America. And that's a quote I want to put out there. I forgot. I've been busy this morning. There's two sides to America. We always talk bad about America and it being racist. And the ones talking about that are the racists themselves. They're falsifying that America is just a racist country because it's a trick. I mean, it's just a trick. All right? Because there was two sides to America. There's still two sides, the Republican and the Democrat. And the racist side of America is the Democrat side, not the Republican side. But the part of that looks like hidden racism in the Republican Party is their opposition to the drug cultures. And they're not totally wrong about that, though. But they do. The fact is, you see looters, and so they're cautious around black people, and Michelle Obama calls that racist. They're cautious around a lot of black people. But And somehow she doesn't notice that the looters are out there, like hunt out hundreds and hundreds at a time of black people looting. All right, and they're dangerous, and they'll run you, they'll hurt people, they'll kill people in their path, and they'll kill people in the store that tries to stop them from stealing. The workers, they'll fight them, or at least maybe kill them. And so you got in every local town, you have all those problems. And so to point them out, you're considered racist to point them out. Well, who's calling it racist? White Democrats are calling me racist. They're having black racists call me racist. And they qualified it. They actually have black people, black racists defining racist, and they get to call who's racist. And if black racists say that a Republican's racist, then they're racist. And so that's where there is some black power. In America, there's some true power of voice. And so that might be why they're doing all these immigrants now, because you have more black Republicans speaking up now against true lies and stuff, against real lies. And the real lies of the Democrat Party. And and they're trying to, and we all have to navigate to a degree, like I'm doing in some of this conversation. And if I make a point and I want to finish a point, and I go to the next point and I forget a point, and there's so many lies out there. There's that many points to make, and and you talk about it like I'm doing now. You see something new. Oh, I overlooked this. I overlooked that. Every time I talk, I find something I overlooked, and I like keeping this format anyway. It's just you're seeing me explore while I speak. But your white racists are the ones calling me racist for pointing out all the violence in black communities. But who created that? The white racists created that. They're trying to create it. They're trying to keep it going because they don't want me speaking against it. They're going to call me racist for speaking on it. And then obviously there's reasons that people in that community wouldn't want me to speak on it, because they're scared people will notice and finally catch them doing stuff and they'll go to jail. Some of them. Some of them want you to shut up and quit speaking on it because they can't keep making slaves out of black on black slavery. So there's black on black slavery, big time, in America, in the ghettos. It's about black on black slavery. And that's hard to tell who's who because there's no laws. It's all done underground, outside the laws, outside of regulation, right? It's done through the mask of illegal drugs and stuff. So and the mask of false racism, falsifying racism and segregating people so that the liars are bullying the whole neighborhoods. All your Islamic liars who are saying you can't speak about Islam and Christianity and the differences, and they won't let you speak. If you do speak, and they do speak and carry a conversation, they yell over you. You're not allowed to respond. And they get offended, and you're not allowed to show evidence, and they'll want to start fighting or threaten to kill you. That's how it is. I mean, and these are gangster level Islamic blacks, and they're segregating all other blacks underneath them. So, I guess in a sense they're the ones segregating the gangs and make it. But gangs do it because they don't want to go to jail too. So. But our jail system's messed up too. Who messed that up? The Democrats. So that's, a lot of stuff can be solved outside of jail. But the thing is, you need to talk. You need to talk and realize, but who's supporting that? It's white Democrats who are allowing black on black slavery, who are promoting black on black slavery, and they don't want it spoken against. Just like they won't let you speak on the people whose heads are being chopped off in Africa, the Christian blacks. I saw videos of it where they have 100 people waiting in line, hundreds of people. They're chopping their head off, throwing them in a ditch, piling them on top of each other in huge, moats, ditches, huge ditches. And I saw them piling them up. I posted it on Facebook years ago when they were first doing Black Lives Matter. I'm like, look, we don't see stuff like this. Look, why don't we talk about that and put a stop to that? See? But the Democrats don't want. They knocked it off Facebook. They didn't even talk about it after I put it up. They said you can't show violence, and I'm showing you this is where some black people really need some help. Over here, They didn't want to help them because it was Islamic blacks chopping off Christian heads, black Christians, right? That's what they're trying to bring to America. They've already been here. It's been here, and they do it in jail and everything else, and they use Muhammad Ali to make Islam look good and stuff. No, it's just it's a fairy tale religion. It doesn't have a God. So, but guess what? Do these white people that promote Islam believe in Islam? No, they're just promoting it to get rid of real Christianity, real religion that actually will talk about where the real problems are. And by the way, that stuff's on their toes because they are the real problem, right? And so it's hard to tell if maybe that white crowd is a lot bigger than we think because they're quiet and sophisticated, and they've stolen the rituals of Christianity that help people make money. That clean living helps people make money. So they do it all for the money and power. They mirror it, and then they act like you can't talk about religion, but then they promote Islam by calling everybody an Islamophobe, and they always call Christians Islamophobes, right? Particularly. So, but they won't call anybody a Christianophobe because they don't want to promote Christianity. Why? Because Christianity says, thou shalt not lie. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. And that's what they do 24/7. They do it 24/7. They lie about people 24/7. And they're lying to black people. I don't know who's the bigger victim, white people or black people, of the Democrat lies, because they're creating armies, racist armies, to hurt white people who believe in freedom. So anyway, I'm going to end this so it's hard to tell, I'll be honest, with the white people, but bottom line, anybody who does not believe in God, that Christ is God, any white person that doesn't promote Christ as God, doesn't denounce Islam, doesn't denounce Buddhism, doesn't denounce Hinduism, doesn't denounce anything except Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through him. And that he is equal to God. He's called the Son of God because he's God in the flesh. God created himself through Mary. So he created him through Mary. I thought about some new things on that I didn't realize, but I won't go into it. But the reason he's called the Son is because he's the physical Son of God in human form, that is. He is God in human form, but God is still a spirit. He's everywhere. Jesus is now seated at the right hand of God the Father, but they are one. And but he's not throwing Jesus' life away, his physical life away. He's still considered special, and he did a job, but he's God, right? As God in the flesh. But he speaks in it in certain terms because what he did is he related to us as his children. And so we're all his children. Jesus is called the second Adam. All right? So, but the first Adam wasn't born through a woman. See? So Jesus was born through a woman and became flesh. God created Adam without Eve. God created Jesus with an Eve, right? With Mary. So there's something to that too. There's more to that you can think of. And that's something new I thought of the other day. But the point is, we're one human race from Adam and Eve and God. And that's reiterated during the flood of Noah. We all came from Noah's family after the flood. So any hard questions you have about how did we all come from Adam and Eve, just go back to Noah's flood. All that was left on the earth was Noah's family. We all came from that. The Indians in America came from that. We're all brothers and sisters. And so when the Democrat, anybody who does not believe in God, any atheist, and they have a root of racism in them. They're rooted into racism, whether they hate other ethnicities or not. They like playing the game for money or power or whatever, because you only live once. So they always talk about they elevate beautiful women like Beyonce and people like that, the Democrats. And they tell you to treat this woman nice and all this kind of stuff. And then they hate on Christianity. And they don't believe in a second life, technically. Some of them will say they do, from reincarnation or whatever, or that everybody's going to heaven. But they don't technically believe in a second life. They're not valuing the person who created and showed us a second life in Christ. And so when they're saying to treat women good, for what? They don't mean it, because they treat women bad. I'm going to go, okay? Got to go because I'm out of time. I'm going to make one more point, but I have to go. And so, technically, if you don't believe in God that created Adam and Eve and Christ, you're rooted in racism, all right? If you don't have a true belief. But if you truly believe in God, He's going to help you to see and make you want to see and make you not skip over the Noah's flood and make you not skip over Adam and Eve and make you realize we all are one human race. And a lot of times you see that within your heart. And so some people that buy it, the trickiest thing in the world is the drug thing. And that is because God created medicine, and so people fall for it. And sometimes if a person just won't acknowledge that God did create wine and stuff, and they claim Christianity, they might not be a Christian because they can't see that somehow. And that is one of the tougher tricks, but they can't see it in balance. I mean, obviously, and so they'll jump and say, "Oh, I'm promoting and saying it's not risky, it's not dangerous," and they'll go to the extreme of saying it's a sin to do it. No, it's not. It's a medicine. So, but you want to stay healthy and not need medicine. And if you can do it and suffer on the cross like Jesus did, without even using any pain medicine or wine, that good for you. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. Maybe I'll be able to be that strong-willed. But see, that strong will, athletes have that strong will. A lot of athletes do. They got so much discipline. They're going to say they're going to endure any pain, no medicine, no nothing ever. And they're still going to hell. So, I mean, guess what? It's not all about that. And the people who make the whole Bible about that, and they don't care that they've used those rules to steal property from people and put people in jail when they shouldn't be, and all that. Now, I mean, we shouldn't want to steal drugs and all that, because we shouldn't want to tax dodge, those kind of things. We shouldn't do those things. But those are kind of different issues. We've demonized drugs and all that. But the truth is, those drugs should be. So is that a white trick or a black trick? Okay, so now it's both. I mean, it's both a white and a black trick, and a Asian trick, and a Hispanic trick, it's a Mexican mafia trick. It's all. But somebody had a clever trick. They did pull a clever trick up in the science community and legislative communities when they did the illegal drug laws and demonized good medicines that can have a good medicine for them. In other words, so. That doesn't mean I'm promoting people to use this stuff, but they're playing tricks. And I'd say the biggest victim of the trick, ethnicity-wise, I would have to say it's the black community. And so, who played that trick though? It's not just white people that played that trick. It's not just white Democrats that played that trick. And so it's their the people who in Africa sold them into slavery, who moved here and wanted to keep, reinvigorate or regenerate that issue. So you have, you got two sides of America. It's always been Democrats for slavery and against capitalism. Republicans put capitalism where you get capital for your labor. You get paid for your labor instead of slavery. Capitalism is the opposite of slavery, right? You got not a perfect system. Nothing's a perfect system. But we put stuff to try to stop monopolies, but who's monopolizing? I mean, who has Facebook and everything else monopolizing? And website, that's the Democrats using. They preached against monopolies, and then they're the ones doing the monopolies, right? So you got to be able to call lies out. And so they got big business. Still, they're breaking the rules of monopolies. But capitalism's still the best because it pays people, right? It's the best. And you got to keep fighting against the bad parts, the risky parts of it, but you don't tear it down and bring back slavery like the Democrats are trying to do. So slavery in the name of socialism is still slavery. All right. I mean, you don't get paid for your labor, or they've muted. In other words, well, they pay us, but in the future, but it's not in money for them. It's just you sit in the house we tell you to sit in, and we give you what you get. You didn't earn none of it. You know, it doesn't matter if you earned more than another person. You sit in the quarters we put you in. That's socialism. Same thing as slavery. It's slavery to against knowledge at that time. So they're going to use prosperity from modern technology to make it sound like it'll work, but they're going to be the people promoting it kill people. I mean, are they going to stop killing people? Nah, they're going to kill Christians in the future. It's going to be all Christians they kill after the rapture. They're going to be, if you claim to be a Christian, you're dead. Right? If you deny what they say and you speak the name of Christ, you're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to think. You're not allowed. You can think and sneak and think somehow, I guess. They're gonna. Anyway, I got to stop this video or it won't download. So, but is the white racist? So it's hard to know if somebody's a racist, a white racist in the Democrat Party, if they're purely racist, if they just hate God, or if they just hate, if they want to bring back the government before we ended slavery. And so they falsify America as being a slave nation, but they're the ones that were that part of America. That was half, just put it like this to summarize it. Half of America was for slavery. The other half wasn't. And probably that whole half wasn't. The people, they were just under that government. So all of them necessarily weren't, and they don't know what they're voting for. They don't know what they're doing. And that's what Democrats are doing now, bringing all these illegal immigrants who don't know what they're voting for. They think they're voting against a country who kills Trayvon Martins. That's what they think. The country who kills Michael Brown, which he was on top of the police officer with his fingerprints on the police officer's gun when he was shot, and they came up with hands up, don't shoot. That was a lie. And he had just robbed a store, and he was a bully. You saw it on camera. He bullied the clerk, ran out from the store. The police were coming. They came to him for that. He had a baseball bat or something. I forget. I don't know if that's right. I do know he was a big fella, and he bullied the people at the store. So they've taught India, they've taught the whole world. That's who America is. They're just people who hate black folks. And the truth is, the Democrats have made that lie. The Democrats are the ones who used to do that kind of stuff and still do. If it's a police officer that's abusing a black person for no reason, he's probably a Democrat. I mean, basically, that's the reality, right? Or he's at least doesn't believe in God. And I'm talking about a true story of that happening, not something where a black guy starts a fight and it's self-defense, or it's, not with the police, or same thing with a white guy that starts a fight with the police. We're talking about somebody where the police really abused him for being Christian or something, right? And that probably happens. Black people in jail probably get abused by an anti-Christian police officer. That can happen. But there's not, I don't know if there's how many anti-Christian police officers there are. But it's not, that's a real abuse, by the way. So it's not, anyway, I gotta go. But you're white, racist, or if you don't believe in God, you're racist. Jesus, Noah's family after the flood, we all came from the same root. We're all cousins, family, all ethnicities. We're all human. We're all neighbors. If you don't believe that, you have a root of racism. But a lot of the white racists that play the racism game and lie about who's racist, you're playing a racist game for the purpose to get rid of freedom and capitalism sometimes. And sometimes it's just because they really hate black people and they're pretending to like them by getting black people who hate white people to hate the white people who are nice to them. What the Democrats would call black lovers. And just put it in context. They say the bad word, but they always called. So really what they're doing is they would consider Donald Trump a black lover. And so they have black racists falsifying that he's racist to keep, because they hate seeing him be friends with black people, because he gave $200 billion to black colleges and black That's kind of like reparations almost. Black colleges could be considered reparations in black business. They're mad that he didn't give it to the cartels who are killing blacks and whites in America and tearing down America. So that might be why they hate him the most besides abortion. All right, I'll let you go. All right, I got to go. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. 1 John 4:8. He that says he has no sin, he makes God a liar, and the truth is not in him. 1 John 1:8. But if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just. 1 John 1:9. To forgive our sins and to cleanse us in his sight.